Somebody, a Catholic tweeted something this morning that just made me just cringe. And the thought came to me,
what was it?
I forget what it was, but this thought kind of came to my head, and it's something Rob and I have talked about on this show from time to time. But the whole thing kind of like came together for me this morning. So I wrote, American Catholicism is largely just intellectual Catholicism, heavily influenced by Protestant converts and the American Protestant culture they converted from. It's why the videos of Holy Week in Spain get so much traction on this site. The American convert looks on and says, look how beautiful Catholicism is, while failing to produce our own unique Catholic culture ourselves. I'm not knocking converts, just making an observation. I think outfits like Catholic Answers are great for answering Protestant objections to Catholicism, but they've also created a Protestant ethos where Catholicism becomes something like faith alone plus the sacraments. It's still mainly based on what you believe rather than how the faith is embodied. It's quote mining certain scriptures to combat the quote mining of other scriptures. The closest thing we get to genuine Catholic culture is at ethnic parishes that have a remnant preserved from their European heritage. So you'll get Polish parishes or Italian parishes that still do processions, but there's nothing that is unique to America. And we should work towards changing this. Now, a lot of people will like, I think Ryan's in the chat. He said like, I don't, it would feel performative to do something to like it. So I want to talk about like the obstacles to building that uniquely American Catholic culture. And I want to talk about maybe some small things and what genuine true culture actually even looks like.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be performative. It should be something like building a small family tradition that you do year after year that eventually kind of gets a little bit added to it, a little bit added to it, a little bit added to it. And then all of a sudden you kind of have this unique thing that you do with your parish family every year. And I think one of the main obstacles, look, there's tons of reasons for this, right? You can't leave the council out of it. Changing the form of the liturgy itself was a huge blow to anything that could have arisen from it.
He was talking about King Deplorable, who isn't around.
I was talking about you, Ryan.
No,
I was talking about this Ryan.
I don't think it was. I think it was.
Oh, it was King Deplorable? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get you guys confused a lot because you guys both have a similar PFP. So, yeah, like the council itself, right? Now, after the council, the hierarchy drops the ball with catechesis completely. And what you get is the Protestant converts of the 80s and 90s. You get Catholic Answers comes up. You get Steubenville pops up. And that's kind of the main like driver of catechesis for Catholicism, other than like your local parish CCD programs, which kind of fell apart in the 80s and 90s. Like things were so nuts at the parish level, unless you had like a vibrant, good parish, there wasn't really great catechesis. So people were finding these cassette tapes and CDs and things like that. That is what kind of taught them the Catholic faith. And they were taught the Catholic faith by these Protestant converts, which is a largely intellectual pursuit because they're coming in through argument, but they're not being persuaded by beauty and culture necessarily. Like the beauty of the faith, sure. And we all talk about truth, beauty, and goodness. But these Protestant converts are not from ethnic communities. They're not from like your local Polish parish or your local Italian, they're not from those communities. They're largely American Anglo Protestants that intellectually convert and then are kind of just left to say, okay, well, I have the faith, but what do I do with it?
What made me kind of sad about your tweet is that I grew up in a good parish and there really was kind of a Catholic culture. I grew up in that good parish and in my town. It was largely at that point a town still of descendants of like Croatian and Polish immigrants. All of our big events in the town happened at the Croatian Hall. People went to drink at the Polish National Alliance, which was in the bottom of someone's house, the basement of someone's house, stuff like that. And like our parish had processions. We had a Fatima Cadet youth group. We did things. This is probably more of a something from the 1960s, but we did a living rosary once a year. We had May crowning events, where everyone I knew took part in, right? All the kids I knew, all the families I knew in town, we were all a part of it. And we had a big annual parish festival that lasted 3 days, and a ton of other stuff.
Like you're saying, like that's coming from a European, the remnants of a European culture.
Yeah.
That kind of carried over here.
But what made me sad is like that, even there now, that's gone.
Yeah.
Like the parish that I grew up in had to be combined with another parish, in town, and eventually shut down until it became a TLM oratory. And now it's, in terms of number of people going to mass there, it's probably as busy as it was when I was a kid, but the community that was there is all gone. Now it's broken up. Yeah. It's people that drive in from all over the Minneapolis and St. Paul, and like they don't do the festival anymore. They don't have all the events anymore. So like that culture I grew up in is, even where I lived, is gone. And like I don't have that to give to my own kids now. I can't find it anywhere anymore.
The thing is, you think to even that period you're talking about growing up, and it's like you would go to those events. Your kids, if you're a parent and you have children, you're meeting other parents with their children, and now your kid could meet their future spouse at one of these events, and that's how you kind of carry that culture on. Mm-hmm. The way things are done now, it's like people are meeting their spouse on Catholic Match, or they're meeting, you know what I mean? Like it's such a weird way how people are even meeting each other. My local parish does the first Sunday of the month. They do the get together down in the parish basement, and they have stuff together, but it's not like the community center.
Right.
It's not like it was 50, 60 years ago, even, where, I mean, people are just so dislocated from one another from the online stuff, that the way these cultural traditions form is by having in-person meetings, right? Like you get together with each other and you start this small tradition, like, I mean, your best bet for getting something like that would be if you're in a small country town and your parish really is like the center of the vibrant life of your community. But it's so, I mean, for me, coming from New York, it's and I'm parish hopping. Like I'm not even at the same parish every Sunday. I'm going the first and third to the one that's closer to me, and then all the other ones I'm either going into the city for, or I'm going to freaking Glen Cove for. Like I don't have a focal point where my children have friends at the parish and things like that. It's just, and you add into that, like the sex abuse crisis. Nobody really wants their kids getting close to any of the priests anymore, because we have this distrust of the priests, even if good men, like you just have this intuitive distrust of them. And it's like, how can we even form our own American tradition? Somebody was making jokes. They're like, well, how do you add, Costco, Buc-ee's, like what is real Americana that you
and I think that's the problem, because like the culture and community I grew up in, it wasn't destroyed by Vatican II. It had survived Vatican II, right? Like this was in the mid late 90s and early 2000s. It had survived the worst of it. It was destroyed by like corporate globalism that's destroyed every other aspect of local cultures these days.
That's what it is. Like so much of this was social engineering, right? Like so much of it was breaking up the cities and pushing them to the suburbs, which if you look to 1950s suburban life versus 2026 suburban life, even that is drastically different. You know what I mean? Like even when we got pushed out to the suburb, like when I was growing up as a kid, I knew all my neighbors. Like it just all the, and especially because I grew up on a block with a lot of kids on it, so all the kids from the neighborhood played manhunt. I lived on a court too, so like all the kids on my block played manhunt together every summer, and we but half of them were Protestant. There wasn't like anything that like really united us other than we lived on the same block. It's just so different now. I don't know if you could, especially because the liturgy has changed so much. Like there's nothing deeply forming the American soul in the Catholic like in true Catholic sensibilities anymore. It's like the new mass is just kind of like this Protestantized. I don't know, man. It's just
Yeah, but there's yeah, I don't know if we would have it have more of a Catholic culture right now in the country if we all had the TLM.
yeah.
It maybe be a little better, right? There'd probably be a greater number of people who stayed Catholic, but I think you still have all the other same forces at work.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much going on during this, like this whole period, the past 75 years, that have kind of destroyed the fabric of Catholic identity completely. It's not just the council. It really isn't. It's all these other it's the way media functions now. It's the social engineering breaking us up. It's like you don't have human connection the way we once did. It's and the way it is now, especially for those of us who do travel to go to a traditional mass, like you don't live close to the people at that parish.
No.
You just don't. We're all driving from all these. So it kind of goes to like E. Michael Jones's point about that, but there's no way around that, because even if I was going to go to the Novus Ordo near me, I'm not going to go to my local Novus Ordo because it's so bad. So I'd still be traveling even to go to a semi-decent Novus Ordo. Like they really destroyed the whole idea of community with the
and even if everyone went to their local parish that was nearby them and you were at mass every week with the same people that live near you, like all the other aspects of a culture are gone. Like there is no more folk music, that people share, that people can dance to at community events, right?
Yeah.
That's been entirely destroyed. There's hardly any more even like regional cuisine, right? Like, yeah, Minnesota's got tater tot hot dish.
Yeah.
And people talk about lutefisk, but no one's ever actually had it.
Well,
All these other aspects of culture, they're just gone.
Even when I came to Minnesota, like you took me to a Russian restaurant.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
yeah, it's like it's not like you're taking me some local delicacy. You're taking me to which is totally fine too if you have a large Russian community living there,
Yeah.
and they all have the bonds of just community within like there's something to be said about how there used to be ghettos. You used to have the Italian ghetto, the Irish ghetto, all of that, and then your kids would marry within that community. But the way things are now, ever since the social engineering, it's like I think about it with my kids, man, because my wife is half Italian and half German. So her dad's Italian and then her mom's German, right?
That's exactly where I took him. Yep.
Yeah, he did. Well, wait, one other thing that was funny. Ocean said something. Hang on. Let me find it.
There is one culture that has folk music and cuisine.
Wait. Well, wait, what did he say? Ocean made a joke about Catholic Match sponsoring our show. I'm trying to find it. Because funny you guys should say that.
I might have mentioned it in the Guns and Rosary show that he was in.
Yeah, so Catholic, the guy that runs Catholic Match, Ocean made a joke. He said Catholic Match now sponsoring AB. The guy who runs Catholic Match actually was like, he used to give us like $600-700 super chats early on. And he wanted to sponsor our show, but he was afraid that we were too controversial.
And he was right. I mean, let's be honest.
He's like, I don't know. I could maybe do like a Pints of the Quiners or something, but I don't think I could actually I don't know if I could let you guys advertise for Catholic Match. But meanwhile, like our show would actually probably be a great place for him to advertise, because the people watching our show take their faith seriously. So I mean, whatever.
Well, anyway. Never mind. I was going to say.
Yeah, it goes to this. So like, what are some ideas for ways you could start it? I mean, some people had some good ideas in that thread where you could start pilgrimages, like small pilgrimages with your parish that aren't like these grand distances. You just walk from like maybe one parish to like if there's what do you call them? Oh,
Shrine.
yeah, shrine. So you do like a 5-6 mile walk to a shrine with your parish community and just start doing it. And if you do it once a year and then but
Dude,
after
most
5 years,
Catholic parishes aren't with 5 or 6 miles of a shrine.
no, but maybe you don't start it from your parish, maybe you find there's a shrine and you say, okay, let's plot a walk that we do every year. I mean, if it's something in Manhattan, you could do it from one parish to another. If it depends where you are in the country, but you have to get the men at your parish to organize it and say, hey, look, what if just once a year on the second Saturday of June or in May, right? Like for Our Lady, do something during May for the month of Our Lady and just say on the second Sunday of May, we get together and we do a 3-mile rosary walk together. And like you do that. And by year 3 or 4, you start introducing little things to it. So it's not this performative thing. It's more organic. And then that's how you would kind of start building one of these traditions. But because we don't do that as Americans, I don't, like we're kind of hoping for like in New York, you have the San Gennaro Fest where it's the Italian immigrants that came over, kind of kept that tradition and they still do march those statues through. And one of the priests I'm friends with, Father McDonald, he's going to a parish with a heavy Spanish community because he speaks really fluent Spanish. I was talking to him about it, and it's like, those Spanish communities, man, they kept a lot of their traditions from their home country and they bring them back and they still do a lot of those beautiful things, So, but we have to do some that are uniquely American for those converts that come in and they want to
what is uniquely American?
I don't know. It doesn't have to be
at this point in time. Like, I think that's the problem.
It would be bizarre if we wore the KKK hoods like the Spanish do, is what I'm saying, right? Like, not that they're you know what I'm saying?
There may be some misunderstandings.
Right. So it would be bizarre if we tried to mimic what the Spanish do during Holy Week. But we could do something on our own with more of an American flavor to it. It doesn't need to be a copy of the European format. I just don't know what we would do. Yeah, it could be it could be Archbishop Fulton Sheen after his canonization, like make the procession in honor of Archbishop Fulton Sheen and do something unique to him, I guess, right? Because these processions start as like devotions to saints, don't a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
So
I just think that the heart of the problem is that in most of the country we've lost everything that is unique, right? I think that's, when you say uniquely American, your average person couldn't describe something that is actually uniquely American other than the worst things about America.
yeah, we have like if you're gonna really describe American culture, it's like, I mean, I guess cowboy culture is American, and what fireworks on 4th of July. like what is America never had a real culture. That's because it's made.
There were regional cultures, but those are gone now too.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I think you could say something like the hillbilly Thomas, right? Those Dominican monks that play bluegrass, like that I think is a uniquely American expression of Catholicism right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Yeah, it is. Yeah, maybe it's something like that. I don't know. It probably really does need to be regional and uniquely regional to each person's location, right? So I think it needs to start at the parish level. I think that's really the only way to do it. You have to start it at your parish level. You got like us younger. I mean, I'm not young anymore, but like the younger guys that have young families, young children, you, Rob, and all the guys that, like, the problem is you're in the middle of nowhere too. You're traveling so far for Mass too. But if you live in a smaller town and you see the same people at Mass every Sunday, like the guys got to get together and just go, dude, let's do something. Like, let's do something. Let's get something on the calendar and just set it. And let's start our own little thing. And see if that turns into something. It doesn't have to be weekly because it's hard to do things weekly. People are busy. People have a lot going on. But yearly or seasonally, something like that.
So Bobby says avoiding Babylon National Park meetups. one thing like my parish did growing up is we would do an annual youth trip to the Boundary Waters.
Yeah.
You know, here, which is something a lot of people do in Minnesota, but we did it as a church youth group, and you know, you'd have men's group and women's group, and the priest would be with the men's group, but you'd meet up in the morning from different campsites every day for the priest that was with you to do an outdoor mass, you know,
Yeah.
in the middle of the Boundary Waters.
John Paul II style on top of a canoe.
Actually, yeah, basically, like that's how they often were. Yeah,
That was, I mean, honestly, that was actually kind of cool seeing those, you know, those pictures of John Paul II taking the young students out up into the mountains and doing stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. We have to do something though.